Hi guys, today is July 20th, 2026 and this is Byte Report. Today I brought another interesting article from Ars Technica about Microsoft Secure Boot essentially not being as secure for practically the whole time. What is Secure Boot? Secure Boot is a technology of Microsoft to protect your computer from malware software called bootkits. So what are bootkits? Before loading actually your operating system, your hardware, your motherboard, they used to call it BIOS, whatever, they used to load firmware. So there is actually another layer of software that runs within your hardware before before the computer actually loads the operating system itself. So the bootkits, these are these types of software that actually hug those firmwares. So if someone has a brief physical access to your computer, or there are some bootkits that don't even require that physical access, they could actually hack your motherboard, your actual computer, hack that's the firmware. The dangers of bootkits that they persist across operating system reinstalls, or even if you swap your hard drive. So even if you change your entire hard drive, because these malwares load from the actually from the motherboard, it doesn't really matter what you do. That's why they created this secure boot technology with UEFI, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, which is essentially this entire way to protect your hardware and your firmware from being hacked. And how they do it, they actually sign the entire firmware that needs to be loaded. So your hardware actually checks if the firmware is signed by Microsoft, and therefore it's trusted and can be loaded. Or if it's not signed, it will reject the boot sequence. It will just reject the software and protect your hardware this way. Unfortunately, it seems that from the secure boot technology was rolled out in 2012, and this entire time from 2013, this technology was susceptible to hacking essentially. Because there is an extension of this secure boot called shims. This is a way actually that the Microsoft and the hardware manufacturers give the way for the other software makers, such as Linux, whatever, to load within that hardware. Okay, and the problem with these shims that there were numerous shims that were susceptible and vulnerable, and the Microsoft knew that these shims actually vulnerable, and they still haven't revoked the certificates. So practically anybody with basic knowledge of the computers could practically circumvent this secure boot process and hack the hardware. So making this entire secure boot kind of useless in a way. So yeah, guys, it's like the entire implementation is there to protect your computer, and there are numerous of shims that with known vulnerabilities that threat actors, hackers, whatever can use just circumvent it. And it's been there for 13 years out of 14 years of existence of this technology, as it states in the start of the article. So yeah, guys, this is a quite interesting article. I'll put the link in the description if you want to read in depth. Partially the reason why it's so hard maybe for the Microsoft, because it's a really complicated process of verifying the firmware. It goes in details in the article. So basically there are two databases that UEFI loads. One keeps the list of authenticated firmwares and the other revoked. And because the other database is limited only to 32 kilobytes, they have to use another technology that verifies versioning of the software. So it's getting really cumbersome and complicated. And it seems even Microsoft couldn't manage this and let the entire secure boot open for attacks for practically more than a decade. Again, I'll put the link in the description so you can go and read it yourself in the details if you want to. But this is a quite crazy situation. Like, you have the entire infrastructure and the technology in a place to protect, and it hasn't done what it should have done practically the entire existence of the entire lifetime of that technology. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. See you in next one.